Okay, we're going to be tying a Peccary body Cripple. This one's going to be on a size 14 Ahrex FW521. It's a great hook for emergers, cripples. Awesome hook for caddis pupa. I'm going to start out with some Semperfli Nano Silk 50 denier in white. And we'll go ahead and start your thread about 3 or 4 eye lengths back from the eye of the hook. Work your way down. I like the white Nano Silk because you get a 100-yard spool with white and black. All the other colors you only get 50. Alright, for the tail, we're going to use just 3 or 4 strands of natural pheasant center tail fibers. And you want to make sure that you tie these in a lot shorter than you think. So what I like to do is get them started about the length of the shank. As you tie that in, get 2 wraps on it. Take a look, and now that's a little long for this. So we'll just pull them through. There we go. You want to try and keep that right on the top of the hook shank. And then just wrap back over it. All the way back up to where you started your thread. Okay, next we'll grab our piece of Peccary. You want to try and grab a piece that's got a nice band in it, so you get some segmentation. We'll tie that in along the near side of the hook, my side. Just work your way back down. And back up. Okay, then we'll flatten out our thread, spin it counterclockwise for a right-handed tire. Okay. And we're going to just build up a little bit of a taper. Not too much, because we don't want this to be too fat. Flatten our thread one more time. Okay. Now it's important to have a fairly even thread base, fairly smooth. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the smoother it is, the nicer this Peccary will wrap. And we want to just keep our wraps nice and close together, as close as we can get them touching, and just work our way all the way up. Okay, now so we'll put on some UV resin. I'm going to be using Solar Res Bone Dry. I like it. It's really thin, really hard. So it's never tacky or sticky. And it coats really nicely being so thin. Just make sure you get a nice even coat and that your tail's where you want it to be before you cure it. Then we'll hit it with the UV. So for the thorax, I'm going to use a Peacock sword. You can use Peacock eye hurl. I prefer the sword on these smaller flies. You get really nice color from this area. The only issue is, of course, the parts of the feather themselves are really short, so you have a lot to work with, so it's really only good on smaller flies. But it gives you a really nice color. So I'm just using 2 of those strands, and we'll just work right back to where we stopped our peccary. And then at this point you can smooth this out just a little bit and make it a little more even to wrap. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, so with these Peacock sword fibers, I like to just twist them up a little bit with the hackle plier, not a ton, just 3 or 4 full twists. And we're just going to wrap this 3 or 4 times and just get a little thorax built up. We don't want a lot of bulk. Perfect. So now we'll just smooth that out again just a little bit. Work our way back to about a half an eye length back from the eye. And we'll get our hair for the wing. This is going to be Nature Spirit Select Cow Elk in natural color. And once again, we want I like the wing to be just slightly shorter than the length of the shank. So we'll use a pinch wrap once loose, and then on the second wrap, cinch it down. Then we're going to work our way back, just open wraps, keeping the elk hair pulled up on top of the shank till we get back to our peacock sword. And then we'll work our way back forward, cinching down nice and tight. One of the most important parts, once we go to wrap the hackle, we'll be having this section here smooth to keep our hackle wraps nice and neat. So once we get back up to the eye, I'm just going to take a few wraps under the wing to help prop it up. If you have any hairs that don't want to cooperate, you just cut them out. Like this one here. So then we'll smooth everything out, work our way back. We'll go ahead now at this point, cut our excess off. I like to cut it back about even with the back side of the thorax there. Like so. Maybe a little shorter, but that'll work. And now for the hackle, I'm using a Whiting Farms Red Label Rooster saddle hackle. This one's a unique variant color. It's kind of a golden badger speckled. It's a really cool effect. So we'll tie that in. I've stripped one side of this hackle, so we're going to do some nice tight close hackle wraps, and we don't want fibers going everywhere. We'll cut that off. And so now I've tied that in with the bare side facing the camera, facing away from me. And we're going to just take our time, make sure we get it pointed the right direction so that that bare stem lays straight down. And we're just going to go nice and tight wraps, one right after the other. And try and keep those wraps as tight and close to each other as you can, ideally just touching all the way up to just behind your wing. And if one gets spaced out on you, just go back. You can redo it. Okay, so once we get up just behind the wing, tie that off. Three wraps should be plenty. And we'll take the thread right back in front of the eye again, do another 3 or 4 wraps. We'll grab our whip finish tool. Preen that wing back. We'll just do about a 3-turn whip finish. Snip that off close. We'll cut our hackle off, or excess hackle. And that's it.